Quick, guys, welcome back again to another Mindset Mastermind every single day, 9 a.m. Central, where we get our dose of motivation, inspiration, and get ready to put in a lifetime of perspiration one day at a time. And you're right, Carrie. Today is Financial Freedom Day, though that meeting is not happening because we're rolling into the holidays and we've kind of closing out any meetings going forward today. Other than this will keep going. You guys will run it. Though we are starting the financial freedom content, the foundation, the richest man in Babylon, what George Clausen wrote decades and decades ago are truly the basic foundational elements of getting financially free. And I'm always a hardcover guy. So I bought the newest hardcover, and I love that the foreword is Dave Ramsey. So today I want to make sure with the group that's here, it's funny how it got a little skinnier today, that we talk about the foreword, if you guys have that, and I can bring elements in, that we talk about kind of the preview and story of Babylon as it is written in the original text that's also here. And then we talk about what you guys want to get out of this going forward. And then starting January, the first full week of January, that Thursday, we will go back into our 1 hour meeting from noon to 1 Central, working on financial freedom. It's a mastermind, and it is a workshop where we're doing the work of truly getting financially free, and a lot of it will be right out of this content. As always, I love the holidays, how skinny it's getting in here. You guys, no matter what, keep this going. And as always, you guys, no matter what, are the keepers of the content and the presenters of the content. So I'm going to ask you, we're starting something new, usually rugged day one. Let's see how everybody did. What have you got from your version of this content?
Quickly, I'm going to add my 2 cents.
Absolutely, Celeste. You're up, and then clients next.
This was the easiest book to read. That's my 2 cents. I loved it. It was so easy. I have not read this book because the word Babylon kept me from the mindset of, I don't even want to read this. I'm not interested in Babylon. How stupid is that? That's all I have to say.
Here's the fun part. You know, also historically might have had challenges with glowing and challenges with leaping and challenges with lots of stuff. And the best part about what we get to do in Mindset Morning is challenge those preconceived notions. It's what we're doing every day. Because when you begin to think differently, you begin to behave differently, and you become someone different. Before the recording today, Carrie was absolutely celebrating, and she used incredible language because she went, I am a reader. She's seeing the content we've gone through that she's been a part of, and she's no longer reading. This is who she is. And so as you continue to push out of your comfort zone, you guys are going to change as well. Mr. Client Brother, you were here, you went away, your mic's still hot. There you are.
So Babylon was the absolute foundation of our economy that we have today is built on the economy of Babylon. The interesting thing that I'm kind of asking myself as we all go through this financial thing is, in certain ways, the way that certain people move through that economy, it seems for them so easy. And yet, for others, so difficult. But the same economy does different things for different people. So that's not really a comment per se, but it's a thought that I had in regards to how the economy of Babylon works. And I read the book some time ago. Haven't read it recently, so I'm really excited to dig back in.
So let's just drop right into, in essence, chapter 1, the historical sketch of Babylon. and let's all get a real understanding of what this place was like. In the pages of history, there lives no more glamorous a city than Babylon. Its very name conjures visions of wealth and splendor. Its treasures of gold and jewels were fabulous. One naturally pictures such a wealthy city as located in a suitable location of tropical luxury, surrounded by rich natural resources, forests, and mines. Such was not the case. It was located beside the Euphrates River in a flat, arid valley. It had no forests, it had no mines, not even a single stone for building. It was not even located on a natural trade route. The rainfall was insufficient to raise crops. Babylon is an outstanding example of man's ability to achieve great objectives using whatever means are at his disposal. All of the resources supporting this large city were man developed. All of its riches were man made. Babylon possessed just two natural resources: a fertile soil and water in the river. With one of the greatest engineering accomplishments of this day or any other day, Babylon engineers diverted the water from the river by means of dams and immense irrigation canals. Far out across the arid valley went these canals to pour the life-giving waters over the fertile soil. Such abundant crops as were the reward of this irrigation system, the world had never seen before. And that was just the beginning. Our activity, our energy, our enthusiasm, our focus, our determination, our persistence to do maybe what's never been done before is what the people of Babylon did and what each and every one of us can do going forward. What else from the content?
That's quite amazing, Russ. I really appreciate you bringing that out because the legends of Babylon, a lot of us miss because we don't get taught about it in grade school. But the gardens of Babylon were world famous, and they're still talked about today. The artistry in the city was absolutely spectacular. Abraham came out of this area, and also all of the tribe of Judah was taken captive to Babylon under Cyrus, and he had under Nebuchadnezzar and then Cyrus, and Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that Daniel interpreted, and when they talked about Babylon, Babylon was the head of gold. It was the richest, most glorious kingdom that there was ever going to be in the earth. That's the way it's pictured. So thank you for bringing that out, because that's kind of the bottom line about where he's starting from, because it comes out of a determination to do something quite spectacular. However, I want to go back to the foreword, because there's a couple of sentences in here that really stood out to me. And
by the way, which forward, the original or the Dave Ramsey?
I guess this is the original.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
All right. It says proper preparation is the key to our success. Our acts can be no wiser than our thoughts. Our thinking can be no wiser than our understanding. This book of cures for lean purses has been termed as a guide to financial understanding. So I think we're in for a great treat. I think we're in for an amazing story, a memorable experience. And I'm real excited to get into this, because It does have the fame of one of the greatest business books of all time. So,
Yeah, and I absolutely love that it's going to be a simple parable, easy to follow. And think about this detail because it's about the richest man in Babylon. So know that your main character, Bansir, is already in this place of great wealth. And yet it's going to be the story of the things he did, the things he set up to be the top of that top of the top on the planet. That's where you're going with this. Now, the fun part for me is the Dave Ramsey forward. I want to throw something in here because again, look, we have 10 total people in here. That's it. And Dave, who's always called himself and is a Tennessee backwoods hillbilly, talks about one of the people that kind of stoked his fire that he just heard speaking at one point. Charlie Tremendous Jones helped stoke my fire. In case you're too young to remember Charlie, he was famous for saying, "You will be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read." I can't wait to be hanging out with you guys 5 years from now and seeing these 9 on this screen with me, because you guys are the ones that are consistently doing this, consistently growing, consistently reading. And because of that, you cannot help but grow and become different. Miss Celeste.
So I'm listening, and I read the whole book. Took me half an hour. I feel like there's a bigger story or a bigger picture that's going on right this moment in our lives. And one of them is, if anyone is listening to the news, they're talking about how 2024 was by far the worst year in 35 years in the real estate business. And those words, to me, translate into the word shift. And why is that cool? Well, the best things that happen in our industry is when there is a shift. And it's starting with being mindful that there is a shift going on. And if you're not thinking ahead as far as what is 2025 going to look like, you have to learn from the tea leaves that there's nothing but it's going up from here. It's going to be amazing in 2025. So listening to the story and listening to how he heard the story, he heard, save the 10% for pay yourself, but he failed at understanding what to do with that money. So he invested poorly. Well, learn from that. You don't have to be the one that makes the fail. Learn from this man's experience and invest in the first thing is that 10%, save it, keep it for yourself. But then I loved where he put in, and I'm getting ahead here, but let the
You're way ahead,
grandchildren
but that's
earn.
okay.
Yeah, let the grandchildren work for you. And when you learn what that means, it's just simply don't spend the money. Don't be putting that money, that 10% on, oh, I want to go out for dinner. But you're going to you're walking into 2025 with such a mindset of, first off, it's an abundant year. And second is being aware to take 10% and invest it or save it, put it somewhere that you're not going to touch it. You will have wealth if you keep that pattern.
So I want to play with that. And I know it's getting ahead a little, and I won't be here with you guys ahead, but I was thinking about it today because that 10% of gross, just sticking it away, is simple and easy, and almost everybody doesn't do it. And for those of you that have been at another brokerage or are at another brokerage and are now here at EXP. One of the things that all those other brokerages, big box brands, is they pay a royalty. They pay a franchise fee, anywhere from 6 to 15% to who it is that goes off to corporate.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that. So we have this thing called the Agent Equity Program, where you self-elect to pay the royalty to yourself. 5%. Every single closing disappears and goes into buying stock and makes you 10% on that money the day you buy it. That's the way the model is built. It's right out of this content. If you're doing that, you're already halfway to that immediate changing the financial trajectory of your life. Everybody's always living on the right now dollars, and they think, oh my gosh, I need every penny. And yet magically, when you don't have the pennies, you still survive. I'll give you one of my greatest examples, because there is a law, and I forget the name of it, that floats around this. When you have a new tube of toothpaste, you're squeezing it out, you're putting big amounts on, man. And when you're down to that last little piece in the head, man, you're working it and you're still surviving off that little bit of toothpaste that's left. You wouldn't miss 5% of that tube.
No.
And your revenue is no different. What else you got?
So, was there someone in front of me?
Nope, you're it, brother. Let's go.
So, the interesting thing to me about listening to this and going through this is I am struck by how many of the things that we're reading parallel together. This book goes very closely with the book prior to Radical. They all seem to just gel together. And so my trust as I go ahead and I go through this process is that it will click, because when things come from so many different angles at a certain point in time, your mind says, aha, hey, this has got to be the way, because I'm getting it from everywhere. So it's almost like we're diving into a pool. You cannot help but getting wet. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
You stay in that pool, client, and you can't help but getting wrinkled, right?
Yeah.
You stay in that environment and your body begins to change. And you're absolutely right. Being in here, being in the environment, continuing to go. So I want to bring a nugget in from the introduction for kind of the closing of Coach, and then it's going to be up to you guys. And if you have nothing else, we're going to close out early today, and I can keep plugging along on my preparation for vacation. That being said, right out of the introduction, ahead of you stretches your future like a road leading into the distance. Along that road are ambitions you wish to accomplish, desires you wish to gratify. To bring your ambitions and desires to fulfillment, you must be successful with money. Use the financial principles made clear in the pages which follow. Let them guide you away from the stringiness of a lean purse to that fuller, happier life of a full purse made possible. Guys, this is about 2025. We're setting it up for you to change your behavior, and at the end of 2025, have a radically different life. I'm in with 9 of you for a massive shift, and those 9 are going to invite another 4 or 5, and we're going to have 50 of us doing massive, massive shifting. And for everybody, that one is going to change you over the next 8 to 10 days. And then remember, right after that, you're going to be reading Ogmandino's The Greatest Salesman in the World. You guys are doing those. I'll come probably into Og with you the first part of January. We'll finish that up, and then we will really start crushing 2025. So, Glenna, you're on. The mic is hot. What do you got?
I was going to say, piggyback on what Klein said, which is about the books we're reading. Not just the book before that, but the last book that we read, Radical Edge, that one also was preparing a mindset and financial and all the mindset and everything. Everything is tying in together. Thank you very much.
You are welcome, Glenna. I love what I get to do.
Great.
I am vibrating at my frequency when I'm hanging out with you guys. Nafritha, bring it, my dear.
So I'm waiting on the book, so that's why I'm listening today. But it's interesting, right? Because from what I remember hearing about Babylon, kind of like going off of what Celeste said in the beginning, it was never introduced to me as a good place, right? I always remember that was a place where they tried to build a tower to heaven, right? They thought they were slick, and God had to show them they weren't slick, right? So in my mind, I kind of think of this place as this place you don't want to be, right? You don't want to be like these people. So it's, for me, a great experience to be awakening to another perspective of this place, to actually take some good out of it, and not just limit my exposure to that alone. But hearing you guys talk, it just shows that there's so much more, I guess, out of what we talk about all the time, right? You can go through a bad situation or a rough situation, but what do you get out of it, right? Are you going to focus on just the negative, or will you take away the good? And I think this is what we're doing here with reading this book, right? Highlighting the good. What can we take from that to build on ourselves, to build on our success? And I love what Celeste said about the shift, right? Maybe this is a great way to kind of set us up for that, right? Just having that idea of things will constantly change. And it kind of reminds me of the whoop, right? That was the whole purpose of the whoop. So we can stay ahead of the shift, so we can stay ahead of the change, so we can be innovative, and we're not feeling like we're left behind, right? We're catching up to figure it out. And I don't know about you guys, but that feeling is horrible when you feel like you're catching up, right? Because you dropped the ball or something happened where you're kind of discombobulated, you can't figure it out. So I think this is a great way, for me at least, to practice expanding my mindset, letting some new information in, filtering out what works for me, take that and actually turn it into action and change my life. So I'm just looking forward to see what I can learn from this book, and all you guys have to share, and I can learn from you as well.
So I want to take that one step further for you, Nafritha. And it's your opportunity now to work on consistent and constant reframing, looking for what's right. We had a lifetime of stories and feedback of what's wrong. It's been our total programming to go there first. What was the very first word you learned as an infant / toddler?
No.
Right?
Yes.
You went straight to no. And, your teacher in kindergarten, you took your first test, 25 questions, and everything you did wasn't smiley face and highlighted. The one thing you missed was a big red check mark, again, to drive to the negative. So this is the new habit, Nafritha, of reframing and looking what's right. In Babylon, amazing things happen, incredible things happen. And yes, historically, they screwed some things up. And yet we can also pull from all the greatness. And that's what this is going to help us do. And I challenge you to do that and get in that habit going forward. When you find yourself negative, write down your gratitudes, the journaling, the Wattpad. A part of that is gratitudes. And so, let's have a little fun on that, because yesterday, might have even been the day before, I was writing down, I remember the moment, and my gratitudes were all the challenges that were showing up in life. So
I love that.
I had a trash truck that was going, and they do this every flipping week. They start at the beginning of the street and they back all the way down, which means the backup is going on for like 20 minutes. I am full of gratitude for trash trucks because of all the good things they do.
That's why you said that.
Challenges with people. I'm full of gratitude for leadership challenges. Hey, one of my favorites because it happened to me. I'm full of gratitude for no, the word no. That day I had to pull an all-nighter getting on an aircraft. I am full of gratitude for flight delays because the plane wasn't supposed to be in the air, or the pilots weren't supposed to be in the air, or the air wasn't supposed to have them in it. It saved my life. And I'm full of gratitude for uphill battles because every one of your desires lives uphill from where you are right now. Period. Most people have uphill desires.
That is so deep.
Uphill habits.
All of your desires live uphill.
What do you got there,
Wow.
Clint? You're up, and then I got 3 more lined up here.
I just said all of your desires live uphill. I'm going to so use that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Jeanette, you're up, my dear.
Okay. I got to reframe. I'm a person who says no. You know, when you've got kids, no, no, no. And it's no wonder the first word a child says is no, because what have they heard? So this isn't a criticism. This is an aha for me, and including the dog or whoever that's there, and you're training the dog, or the dog's doing something. Distraction and redirection, and exactly what to say. So, depending on the age of the child, you have 3 options. You help me understand, but sometimes that's not, the dog isn't going to answer that. Help me understand, but you can put it in the air. But the point is, stop saying no, and people aren't going to learn no from me. And if I redirect their question, a child doesn't have to have a first word of no because of me anymore. But they would have up until this moment, because I didn't get it until just now.
And no has its place in a much smaller place than the rest. And Jeanette and Doug, I want you to look up too, because I know you're going to love this. Do you think over the last multiple years of coaching together and working together, there have been times I've wanted to look at Jeanette and say, no.
Uh-huh.
And my coaching approach has always been, whether it's little league, t-ball, football, working with kids, is yes and. Imagine having a yes and approach in life when somebody's not doing something right. Hey, this is good. I like what you're doing, and here's how we get better. Or, and have you considered this? Yes, and your life, and watch the magic happen. We're over, and yet I'm going to respect Celeste and Glenna. You're closing us out.
Well, I'm going to tag on that thought. And I was just thinking, when you speak to someone and they give you an immediate no, what would you say if you responded, no, I'm glad we got that out of the way, because it's only up from here. If you would be willing to be open-minded, as Russ always says, maybe we could actually have a conversation about why this is something you should consider. You know, be the optimist when you're talking with someone that's the negative.
Absolutely. Over and over and over. Miss Glenna, bring us home.
Okay, my thought was on the no. I'm just gonna comment a little bit on that. I used to say to my kids, "What do you think about that?" Repeat what I said, and what do you think about that, and let them really think about it. But another thing I was gonna say, yesterday I had a client that said, "I don't need you anymore. I found what I needed by myself." Blah blah blah. Okay, after I had my pity party and get angry and everything, I started looking at what I did wrong. She was referred to me by one of my A clients. So that's why I decided to do it, because I don't like to do rentals. I only do it for few people. And so I had to look at what I did wrong. Fortunately, I only spent a couple of hours with her one day. And every time, later on, she started making excuses. So I started saying to myself, what did you do wrong? You were not doing what you were supposed to do. You could have referred her out. You could have said, okay, I'm doing this as a, whatever it is. I had to list down my own mistakes and not put it back on the client so that I can learn from that and move on.
Absolutely. And by the way, I lied to all of you because Alicia, I saw your microphone hot earlier. Did you have nuggets? I want to at least respect and love on you. You matter to me, girl. You're muted now. There you go.
Yeah, so it was piggybacking on what client was saying. And what I think is happening by showing up and being in the group and being in the group and reading books that all play back and forth on each other, it's activating that part of the brain that we're talking about, that you have to just keep telling your brain the positive stuff and keep telling it until you believe it. Because I think that's what happened in me. I think when I first started coming, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But hearing it, something switched, and I don't know when it did. And yeah, I mean, it's just made a world of difference. I think I now am open to what the books are saying, and it's making sense, and it's actually happening in my life and making a difference on my phone calls and everything. So yeah.
So proud of you. So proud of how far you've come in such a short window of time. And that goes for all of you, man. I want to make sure each and every one of you have an incredible Merry Christmas, that you really crank it up and have a wild and fantabulous Happy New Year. And of course, Coach Ross, I've already changed my voicemail. Let everybody know that I'm off the air, yet I still pay a little attention. And if I happen to have a break, I might just be returning a call or two. I might just be responding to a text or two. So it's not like I'm totally vacating. It's just that I am making sure that family quality time is family quality time.